Welcome back to Industry Expert Insight, presented by Council Navy, where we bring you real conversations with professionals across different industries. Choosing a career is just a first step. Understand how that industry works and what it really takes to succeed is what makes the difference. In today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Patrik Sandin, a venture builder, investor, and innovation strategist with over 20 plus years of global experience helping organizations build new ventures and future ready business models. Let's hear his insight on the world of innovation and strategy. I have worked extensively with exponential technology and innovation. What mindset should young professionals cultivate to stay ahead in time of rapid tech disruption?
Good question. I mean, in my view, and I've been exposed to, I started in management consulting and professional career back in the late 90s. So it's been a while. And working for traditional manufacturing or telecom industries, etc., as clients, uh, you realize that the modern technology from internet and now AI is fundamentally shifting the way businesses operate or need to operate, and therefore the skill set needed by the workforce. And if you are in school today studying for a career, it is very likely that whatever you are learning today is out of date by the time you graduate, because the world is moving so fast. The nature of exponential technologies, the foundational technology enabling exponentiality has been computational power in the form of now computer chips, the computers themselves. And Ray Kurzweil, a futurist and an inventor who was part of setting up Singularity University in California, he researched historical development. So he thought Moore's law, that many people know, which is that the price performance of computation or of computer chips is doubling every 1.5 to 2.5 years historically. Now, Ray Kurzweil found that this has been true all the way back to 1890, when the first information technology saturated in terms of vacuum tubes and later transistors, etc. So we are on this doubling path, and that means that things go very quickly vertical in the sense of if you plot it on an axis, and it's very hard for the human brain to understand this doubling pattern, right? 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, it quickly becomes extremely large numbers and you can't keep track. 22 linear steps, if you just take steps linearly, so 1, 2, 3, 4, brings you down the hallway in the corridor or down to the street. 22, 26 exponential steps brings you around the planet 26 times because it doubles so quickly, right? And now we're seeing AI doubling in power almost. There's new innovation, new disruption coming every couple of weeks. So we're approaching the point where we can't keep pace. And in such a world, it's really important to have a growth mindset, because whatever you learned before may no longer be applicable. So to constantly learn, to have a growth mindset, the glass is half empty rather than half full, I think is very important. And to see your career or whatever you do as a continuous learning process. Just by finishing school doesn't mean you finish learning. So I think that is an important mindset.
Sustainability is no longer optional. How can students begin integrating sustainability principles into a future business strategy from early in their careers?
Yes, I think sustainability is very important and will increase in importance, because you probably read in the newspapers, you see on TV how the natural systems are continuously being degraded. We have microplastics in every grain of salt or in grass or up in the Himalayas in the mountains. There are microplastics, which we then ingest, and which may cause harm at some point, right? We were poisoning the oceans, we're cutting down all the trees, etc., etc., at an increasing pace as the economy grows. And historically, from population growth, of course, has enabled this, which means that we are in a world of declining resource potential to sustain civilization. And a Club of Rome, which is an organization, a non-profit organization in Rome, founded by business leaders in the early 1970s. They, together with MIT, did a report called Limits to Growth in, I believe, 1972, something like that, where they used the leading supercomputer at the time to do forecasts of what will happen if we continue. And the forecast was a societal collapse by 2045, and we are on pace of doing that. So you need to integrate sustainability to avoid societal collapse. How do you do that? Well, by understanding sustainability more deeply. Sustainability is not only environmental, it's equally important around the social aspect of sustainability, because if people are not friends, or at least civil with each other, if you do not have trust between people and trust between people and institutions, you will revert back to kind of tribal warfare, or now we're seeing these tariffs from the US to other countries, etc. Right? So in conflict, it's hard to be sustainable, and if you constantly worry about your social well-being, health, education, putting money on the table economically, you are less likely also to do good for the environment, obviously, because you have other things to worry about. So to have a functioning social systems is key. And to understand all the components of both what is causing environmental unsustainability and what is causing social unsustainability, you can gradually be part of doing things which do not do harm. And once you do things that don't do harm, or even before then, you can do things that add good to the world. So positive impact, positive products and services, which can command hopefully a premium price as well, and because people are willing to pay more for something which is positive, hopefully. So I think it's key.
What practical step should someone take to move beyond academic knowledge and build real world skill in the strategy, innovation, and transformation?
So I think and those are different topics, but of course extremely connected, right? The company or organization, country, city, whatever, needs to have a strategy. You need to probably innovate to create something new, and then once you have innovated something new, you need to transform from the existing to the new practice, right? And understand the linkages between those are important. I think it's also important to infuse, because strategy, the quality of your strategy is dependent on your understanding of the world and your position in the world or your industry. So to sense make signals from noise, basically, to understand what's going on in the world, politically, economically, socially, and translate that into impact of your industry or business, is an important skill. And I think you can only learn that by being curious, by studying different topics. If you're too narrow, you will not be able to sense make everything which may have an impact, and you will be disrupted probably because you're not innovating where innovation needs to happen. So curiosity, what do you call it? Doing different subjects. So interdisciplinary thinking, and marry those together is important. And I think increasingly, instead of just reading, you do need to read to have an understanding, but instead of just reading, you need to apply. You need to do things, so learning by doing. And I think increasingly people are empowered by AI, by vibe coding to produce things. You become, so the means of production, at least digitally and informationally, has been democratized. So by that means you can Instead of just reading and maybe talking, you can actually come to a company and say, hey, I've built this app, this prototype, this process, this AI agent that will do things in a different way, which will create this positive impact financially or new customers, whatever. And I think that could also be a potential way of applying to companies in the future. Instead of just sending in your CV, you can send in a CV plus a link to a vibe-coded, lovable cursor app or SaaS tool that you have built that will make things better for your prospective employers.
With landscape shifting quickly, which capability do you believe will matter the most in the next 5 to 10 years, and how can students prepare for them?
So going back to my exponential technologies and doubling pattern, etc., discussion before, I think that means that it's extremely hard and increasingly difficult to forecast what will happen and what will be in demand. Things are just moving too fast. And I think in the Singularity University world, we believe that the next 10 years will have the same amount of development that we had the last 100 years. So 10 years will feel like 100 years in terms of new innovations and new things. And of course, then just because things have been enabled or invented doesn't mean that they will be used. So of course, there will be a time period for people to learn about it, try it out, figure out how to apply this. But still, I think it will be quite a tricky world where we see lots of geopolitical conflict, lots of also, let's say, conflicting in a sense of mixed signals in different industries and things. So I think the best way to prepare for this is just to develop a curiosity, as I said, and learn many things. I think the future world will, the AI is already at PhD level in most narrow subjects. What we need to learn is how they link, how can we combine things to create new things, how can we apply all of this to solve problems and to direct. So instead of a fresh graduate becoming like in my old days, if you join a consulting firm, you do a lot of industry research or telephone interviews, or you sit with Excel to do various financial models, etc. The AI can do that in seconds now, probably much better than the consultant could. So that means we need to learn. The key skill will become to ask the right questions and then to become an orchestrator of AI agents that can sort of give you superpowers to do as an individual, to do what hundreds or thousands of individuals did before.
From your perspective, what is the one change educator or career platforms should make to better prepare students for real world? And where do you see platform like Council Navy fitting into this journey?
Stop, or not stop, but they need to not only teach from textbooks or from a fixed curriculum. Schools really need to keep pace of development and let students learn the latest things and try the latest things in terms of AI. Don't stop them from using LLMs in schoolwork or using Nano Banana for creating imagery or whatever. Instead, encourage it, play with it, but then build in other types of skill sets or kind of where the human can add value to that process, right? So that's one thing. I think another one for Council Navi, as you said before, learning by doing, simulating the real world and try it out before you're actually put in there, right? It's like swimming. You don't push a student into the water and say, go swim, right? You actually teach them in maybe first on land and then on the shallow pool, and then you get into the deep water. And I think the same, what you're doing is exactly what needs to be done here.